Hi, everyone. Welcome to Beacons of Balance. I'm Arlene, and this is my wonderful co host,
Hi,
Joanne.
everyone.
Well, we have a wonderful guest speaker, Dr. Terri Orbuch, who I'll be introducing shortly. So, love makes the world go round, right? We could sing a few different songs, but relationships over time. And what about current relationships? How do you feel about yours and every interaction that you have in your life? And that is what we're going to talk about today. And Dr. Terri Orbuch is also called the Love Doctor, and she has a lot of accolades under her belt. Especially, she's been doing a program for over 3 decades with the
Sure.
National Institute of Health, where she's followed over 373 couples on their journey in life between marriage, divorce, you know, death, and so forth in relationship. So this is going to be very interesting topic, and we're still in the month of love. It's very apropos. So take it away, Joanne.
Wow. So, what a great topic. And who doesn't need more love in their relationship? So, we're so honored to have you, Terry. I've been married 45 years, and I'm going to tell you something. Trying to keep that spark going that long, I mean, that would be my first question for you is like, what really leads to a happy relationship so it doesn't get stale after all those years?
Well, thank you both for having me, Joanne and Arlene. Great to be here again. I think that's a great question, Joanne. One that everybody, how do you keep a relationship going and it being exciting and passionate and spark filled, right? The first thing that I have to say is that it's inevitably the case that you're going to lose the spark, that you're going to lose the excitement because relationships can't really sustain that passion and excitement like when you were first together or when you first met. We call that passionate love or lust. And inevitably, as I said, it dies or it declines. So, how do you keep the passion going? First, excitement is fueled by three things: newness, mystery, and arousal. So let me explain all three. And they're all clean. No sexuality or sex involved here at the moment for a second. Uh, I know. Well, we can come back to that, Natalie. But first, it's all about newness. It's doing new things, experiences, adventures, activities with your partner. So it can be a new restaurant, a new vacation spot, anything new will fuel that passion and that spark. Second is mystery. What we think is that when we know our partner really well, that's what fuels passion, but it's actually the opposite. When we don't know something about our partner and we find out and we're surprised, or it's like, wow, I didn't know that about my partner, that actually fuels the passion and the excitement. And then number three are what I call arousal producing activities. And they're anything that gives you that adrenaline rush. So let's say you exercise with your partner, or you go on a scary ride at an amusement park, or you go to a scary movie, or a comedy club, or even you jump out of a plane. Anything that gives you that adrenaline rush, it turns out that the adrenaline can be transferred to your partner in your relationship. So those kinds of activities actually also fuel the excitement and the spark. So those are three separate things that I think are useful and beneficial. And we can always think about doing one or another with our partner to get out of the boredom, the rut, and add that spark or excitement.
So, Dr. Cherry, how do couples do this? Is a big one and a major one, I think, for a lot of us, even as we go through relationship for a period of time. How do people discuss money? Because you go through
Mm.
different phases when you first start out. And, my husband and I, he's going into retirement. So money issues have come up again.
Money is a difficult, challenging topic to discuss with a romantic partner. And as I've been following these couples over time, that turns out to be the most difficult, challenging topic that couples have and it produces a lot of tension and conflict. The first thing I recommend always is to sit back as an individual and think about, what does money mean to you as a person? Money can mean and symbolize different things. It can mean love. It can mean security, stability. It can mean how well you've done in your life. So think about, what does it mean to you? And how did you grow up talking about money? Because that also is important to think about. Some families can't talk about money, and some families talk about money a lot. So after you've answered those two questions, then sit down during a neutral time, Arlene. Not when it's tax season or you have debt or a big credit card bill, or even when you are just retiring, I would say, Arlene. But during a neutral time when there's not a lot of conflict and tension and challenges. And talk to your romantic partner about those two things: the meaning of money for you. Second, what happened as a child or in your family during your childhood in terms of money and talking about money. And then ask your romantic partner or spouse the same thing. What does money mean to you? And how did you talk about money as a child? And then the third thing to discuss is, are you a saver or are you a spender in general? And if you are a spender, what do you spend money on? And I think getting those topics out there is really important. What were you thinking when you said that?
Who
Arlene?
knows? A lot of people don't know what they spend money on.
Oh my gosh.
And I
And
think
not only that,
yeah.
I said, not only that, but how many people don't know the husband's passwords or bank account numbers? And it's like, we don't take the time to sit and have these serious conversations in case that husband passes unexpectedly. Most women are like, oh my God, where do I turn? I have no idea who to talk to.
Absolutely,
So,
Joanne. I think
it's
that's so
scary.
important for women, but both partners, to sit down and talk about, where is our money? What accounts do we have? Where is the information and the reports about it, passwords, and how to get at money, right? So that if one partner, but even both partners, you should tell your children as well about the money that you have. So very important. I agree.
Yeah, I think I also think, I'm sure you agree with this. I think money issues and topics is a lot of control also. Control over, if the one is making the money and they're delegating it out, they're like the controlling person, then the other person feels, this channel is about balance. I think it's a good thing for listeners to realize this, that you should be aware of what's happening. In my own personal relationship, because I went through divorces and that, I'll tell you, one time when I was on my own for a number of years and I had very little, I was scratching 2 pennies together, but you know what? I was like the happiest. Not, I shouldn't say happy in that regard, because I knew exactly what was coming in, what was going out, and it's kind of like I knew where I was at. Where other times, your spouse takes, a lot of times they take over and you don't know what's happening or what to tell you. And a lot of times they're not truthful. They don't tell you everything.
Right.
That's why I was divorced.
Balance
good
is so
point, though.
important. Balance is so important. And knowing
Exactly.
where your money is and how to get at it. Whether you're a male or a female, whether you're working outside the home or not, you need to know where there's money and how to get at it. Very important, that balance.
Exactly. Boy, I talk to so many clients that when their husbands pass unexpectedly, they don't even know what bank to go to.
I know.
I mean, they're searching frantically through piles of paper. So that communication is key. So yeah, you brought up a lot of good points, Terri and Arlene. It's like, wow. So Terri, what are some of the ways that we can just show our partner how much the little things that we can do? Because at my age, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to dress up as a dominatrix for Spark.
Oh, I think you should.
Sorry.
You're the artiste.
Oh my God. Maybe when I was 20, but okay.
I think there are big ways to show our partner that we care about them, but I think, Joanne, it's all about the small things. I think there are big and small ways to show your partner that you care about them, but it's really all about the small ways, the simple things that you do, because we don't want to be taken for granted. We want our partner to notice us, be seen, be heard. So let's talk about the two ways. First, there are things that you can say. And then I'll ask you if you have any additional ways. First, wake up every day and say, I love you. That's so simple. But you could also say, I love you more now than when we first met. You could say, you're my best friend, the best partner, the best father, mother. You could say, let's plan a vacation, which says, I want to see you and do something new and different in the future. You could say, our love grows stronger. I am certain that I picked the same right person, or I would still choose you if I had to do it all over again.
Mhm.
So those are words. Before we get to actions, you have any other ideas about different words that are so important to say every day?
Wow. Well, I always tell my husband how much I appreciate him because I call him St. John. I think he was a saint to put up with me all these years. Oh my God. Yeah. And he always brings me flowers. To this day, he always brings me flowers.
So that's a great
so-
action, by the way. So there are words and there are actions, Joanne, and there are lots of actions that are so meaningful. Flowers every day or every week or every month. My husband puts gas in my car. Because for whatever reason, I don't like to put gas in my car. And so he does it.
Yeah.
You too, Arlene? I know,
Guilty.
something about the smell. So doing that is so important, which it says to me, I see you, I care about you, and I hear what you have to say. You know, if your partner loves caffeine, you can turn on the coffee pot in the morning. You can make their favorite dessert or dinner. You can give them a hug, which is a great thing. If we actually gave hugs to our partners and we stayed in that hug for a few extra seconds,
Yeah.
so very meaningful. So I encourage all of us to do one word or phrase and one action every single day. And by the way, in my study, I found that it's even more important for men than it is for women. Because as women, we get affirmation from lots of other people in our life, right? From our sisters, our moms, our children, our best friends, our neighbors, the stranger in the coffee shop who says, oh, Terri, I like your new glasses, right? But men, they don't get it from other people in their life. So they crave it and need it to feel seen and wanted.
I always tell my husband how handsome he is whenever he comes back for the haircut because he's got that white hair and it's like, oh my God. I call him the silver fox.
I love that. That is
You're
so
such
great.
a sexy silver fox.
Yes. Like you
And then
look
he
so
just like,
sexy in
It's
that
funny.
new haircut, those jeans or whatever.
wow.
Yeah. They kind of almost don't know what to do with it.
They
guess,
don't.
"Oh,
He does not take,
what?
can't handle it.
It's
And
cute.
by
you
the
know?
way, all the men in our life need that affirmation. I wrote another book called Secrets to Surviving Your Children's Love Relationships. So how can we teach our children to have good relationships? Because one of the things I found in this study long term, because most of the couples had children and now they're in their 30s, right? Or older, is that even our sons, even our male friends need that affirmation. It reminded me, Joanne, when you said about saying that to your husband when he comes home. I say that to my son every time he gets a haircut, right? If I see him, it may not be that day because he
Right.
doesn't live with us, but in a day and I'll be like, wow, I love your haircut. And when he was in high school, he came home one day and I said, did all your friends love your haircut, Joshua? That's his name. And he
Yeah.
said, Mom, remember, guys don't say that
Guys
to other
don't.
guys. And I always repeat that to my clients too.
Right.
To say, you know what? Guys need to tell other guys too.
And you'll
Good.
never hear a guy tell another guy, hey, did these pants make my butt look fat?
No. Or even, I love your tie or your haircut, right?
Right.
That's so
Oh
funny.
my gosh.
One thing I do say, well, because I've been in, I'm on my third marriage now, which I totally love him. I've gotten a godsend. But I say to him, it's from early on in our relationship, and I would say, "Oh my God, I'm so happy when I drive up and I see your car there." And he'll say the same thing to me, because in past relationships, I would drive up and go, "Oh my God, I see their car there." It's like, what am I walking into? Because you're walking on eggshells, in a
Right.
and, we
That's so
we
nice.
still do that. We'll still say, "I still like seeing your car there."
Oh,
Oh,
that's a great phrase.
aw, that's
I'm
cute.
so happy when I see your car. I love
Yeah,
that.
because it means you're home and I'll see you and I can't wait, it's great.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. I always thought that when my husband retired, we'd kill each other because I was always used to having the house to myself for how many years, because I see clients here. And it's like, I'll tell you what, we're closer now than ever. I
Mhm.
never, but it's like having a girlfriend. You go out shopping, we hold
Mhm.
hands when we're out in public. And yeah,
Yeah,
it's
holding
like,
hands, by the way, is another small gesture, actions that is so meaningful. And in
right.
fact, there's such good research that when we're feeling pain, either
Yeah,
emotionally, psychologically, or physically,
right.
that if our loved one, a romantic partner, holds our hand,
Mhm.
it actually reduces the pain. That there's such power in holding hands with a loved one or a romantic partner. So I
Trust.
love that. That's a small gesture. So do
Mhm.
and say these small things.
One thing I'll add to that is just remember, kind of connect to see who you're holding hands with, because we just left a restaurant on Valentine's Day and my husband was ahead of me and I stopped to talk to the hostess. He went out going down the stairs and he put his hand and he grabbed a hand and it was a blonde, but it wasn't me. And all of a sudden he hears a voice going, excuse me, I think you have the wrong hand.
Oh my God. That is
That's a
so,
good one.
that's a good one.
It's more,
But
and they
that's so
laugh.
funny.
They laugh.
And what reminds me, Arlene, of another really great strategy that keeps couples together is laughter.
Oh
I
God. Yeah.
found following these couples over time that laughter and having fun and remembering why you're still together is so very important. And we forget that long term. I've
Right.
been married 32 years. And you can forget that.
All the
But
time.
my husband and I laugh all the time. It's a
Right.
great arousal producing activity, but it's also about really enjoying the time that you spend together.
So on that topic, I want to ask, so what's the difference between love and lust? Even,
I
some people need more of one or the other, or they have more of one the other.
Well, I love that question. Is it love or is it lust? I have a TED Talk, in fact, that is called Is It Love or Is It Lust? Some couples have lust and are together long term, and some couples have love and it's long term, but no lust. The best relationships, happy, healthy relationships, have both lust and love. But let's start first with how do you know if it is lust or love? And I think there are many signals that you can tune into. The first is really simple. Are you using we language? So we went to the grocery store. We went on a walk, like you said, Joanne, and held hands. We went to a restaurant, Arlene, for Valentine's Day. When you use we language, it means that you're in love. And if you're using I language only, that's more lust. Second cue or signal is that if you're in love, you want to introduce the people that are important to you to this other person. You want to spend time with this person and the people that are important to you. And you want to get to know that other person, right? And who is important to them.
Mhm.
That's a signal that you're in love. If you're in lust, you really don't care about the other people or the things that are important to them.
The one thing I find, dealing with so many clients, I'll hear these are people that are married for many, many years and they find this soulmate, right? Where all the fireworks and sparks, and they're ready to leave their husband for this soulmate. And then when they do leave them, that soulmate leaves them for yet another woman. So that lust, yeah, it might come on like a fire hose, but it's like, I rarely see it lasting.
Right.
It's a different kind of love when you're married 40 some years.
Exactly.
It's a
It's a
different
love
kind
of
of love.
support and friendship and intimacy and
Yeah,
caring for one another, which
right,
lust is not.
right.
And, lust can't last, like we were talking about before, right? And so that's something that we have to recognize and expect. But you're absolutely right. It might be wonderful and great to have that lust for someone if you're in another relationship, but it doesn't last. Long-term love. And in fact, when you talk to couples after 30, 40, 50 years, it's not the lust that they talk about, even though it's important and it is an ingredient to a happy, healthy relationship, but it's
Mhm.
the love of friendship and support. I mean, when I talk to these couples after 35 years of being together, they're talking about the partner who stayed in the hospital with them because they had to stay there overnight, or someone who helped them tie their shoes because they couldn't bend down to do it, or someone who was there when someone they loved passed away. So that's the love that keeps people together long
Mhm.
term, not lust.
Yeah, that's
So,
I
Dr.
know.
Terry, I'm changing this up just a little bit. Everything's speeding up so quickly in our universe out there, right? I mean, everybody, even young people, everybody's talking about it. It's just the way of everything, technology has changed everything because it's connecting us and speeding up everything. But with that, it has changed things. What do you see or what have you observed? Love is love and relationships, and we need that interconnected. If we were supposed to be here, I always tell people we were supposed to be here in this experiment called Earth by ourselves. We'd be out on an island isolated. We're here collectively because we're supposed to support each other, lift each other up, and come from the heart. That's what I believe. With all this interference that's happening, and the interference is all of this technology stuff that's going on, how do you see it has affected or what you observe changing relationships, especially, and I'm sorry, this is a little lengthy, especially now with women's rights being taken away because they can't be free sexually like we were, we fought so many years for that and we were so free. If you got pregnant, you would have a choice if you want to keep or terminate a pregnancy. Now that is, forget it, you can go to jail. Do you
Mhm.
think or have you seen it changing the way people are? They're not either shying away from having sexual relationships or not, or just a
So
thought.
there's a lot
There's a lot there.
of
If you
yeah,
question.
there's a lot to respond on. Let's start back with technology first, and I think the pandemic as well.
Yeah.
Both of those, I think, have led to a lot of people being very lonely. I mean, we see an epidemic of loneliness in our society right now. And what that means is that people are choosing relationships because they're experiencing loneliness rather than choosing and selecting someone who is right for them. And so I see that as a big change that's happening with relationships for people in general, but especially young people. And I want to encourage people to understand that, yes, they are lonely, but it is so important to pick the right partner for you. Not because you're lonely or don't want to be alone. That's not the right reason. Because then we pick the wrong people for us.
Mm.
And I think that leads into your second question about women's rights and what's happening politically out there. We're seeing a division between people on the left and people on the right. But I think in general, it's more about values and social identities. And so what I see right now is that people are first identifying what's important to them, their values, reproductive rights, diversity, money, whatever it may be, but really identify what your values are and then pick a partner who has those same top key life values. Because when now I see two partners who have opposite key life values, that is producing a lot more tension, a lot more conflict. And when we have unresolved tension and conflict, unresolved, it's not conflict, We're always going to have conflict and differences. But if it can't get resolved, that's what eats away at happiness in a relationship. And then the third part of your question, and you can ask about any of these, what I heard is that are women allowed to be sexual? And are women allowed to have rights in terms of power and control in their relationships? And I think it is the time for women to be more proactive on that topic. They should have more control. They should have more rights. And they should decide when they want to be sexual or not, because in the end, they're going to be responsible, unfortunately, for a lot of what happens in the relationship and with their bodies in the end. We have men being responsible as well. And, we have STIs, sexually transmitted infections, besides having pregnancies, etc. But I think women and men need to gain control and decide what's right for them in their relationships. I hope that it answered some of your questions, Arlene.
Yeah.
If you do any follow-ups, that's what I heard.
Yeah, it's just such a different time, I mean.
We are totally in a different time. One thing I wanted to bring up is, because I see this a lot with clients, is that they'll marry someone and the husband has a fabulous job or owns a huge corporation, and the wife is there raising children all the time, and she loses her identity. And then when they get divorced, if they get divorced, they feel lost. Like, Joanne, I don't know what to do. It's like, I have a degree, but I never used it because I was raising children this whole time. And now I can't even find a job. So I would suggest to always keep those mental, whatever it is you like, you should keep up with it, just in case, you have to start your own business or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm. That's a really good point, Joanne. And I see many clients like that as well.
Right.
Because we become someone else in many relationships over time. And so I think the big message that I hear you saying and that I tell clients as well is make sure you have me time. Make sure that you don't lose who you are, your interests, your friends, your family, and spend time to make sure you still like who you are as well.
Exactly. Don't lose your identity. It's so important.
So important. I agree.
Wow. Yeah. Oh, this was great.
Yeah. This is amazing.
Terri, for being here with us and taking your time, because you're a very busy lady. I don't know if she finds time in the day.
Cute.
I want to let all our listeners know, thank you for, first of all, watching, listening. And please, we're here every Wednesday at 11 o'clock. And if you please would leave comments, subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything. And you have to actually go on, if you're listening in the car to the podcast, you have to go on your laptop, computer, or whatever, and go into Beacons of Balance. And we have archived all the videos. It says watch videos. Go on there, and that's where you could hit subscribe and like and watch and leave comments. And I would like you to go on and also see Dr. Terri was on last year. It's episode 17. And it was titled Romantic Love, Insights on Lasting Love. It was a great episode also, and a lot of key points on that. And Dr. Terri is also an author. Finding Love Again is one of her books, I don't know how many you have out now. And then this other one I loved also, 5 Simple Steps to Take Your Marriage from Good to Great. Good relationship too. It doesn't have to be a marriage, but
that's true. Thank you.
But it was great.
Yeah, this is fun.
And you have another new book that is it out?
Yes. It is out. Secrets to Surviving Your Children's Love Relationship. So whether you're a grandparent or a parent, how can you help those children? Or whether you're even a teacher, I would say, or a mentor in a child's life, how can you help them have happy, healthy relationships long term as well?
Oh, that's awesome.
Because they see by example of what you've been through.
Exactly.
Yes, exactly.
And I love those grandkids.
We repeat that pattern.
You're the role model for them, so it's really important.
Really important. They are watching you.
They watch. Yeah, they watch.
Mm-hmm.
So this is wonderful. Thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
both so much. What a great discussion.
I wanted to end with also, since the channel we're called Beacons of Balance, and it's a
Mhm.
world of duality, so we're in that constantly. What does Dr. Terry do to balance out at the end of the day? For yourself?
That's good question because balance is so important. At the end of the day, I actually ride my stationary bike every night after work. It lets go of stress. It calms me. It brings me balance. And then I can be my genuine self to my husband afterwards.
That's great.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Well,
Well,
continue with the wonderful. We need you. The world needs you here. You're and
we
you
need
guys,
more love. Yeah,
we're doing this here. We're doing this collectively for you. Remember that
exactly.
you're important and you matter. If no one's telling you that, it's all about love. Leave this. I'm pointing to my head and go into your heart space and give yourself a hug. We
Yes.
need.
You are so powerful.
Yeah. Joanne, anything else you'd like to end with?
No, this was fabulous. Thank you so much. Wow, both of you. It's a
Remember
lot
to
of good topics.
remember to be beautiful beacons of light that you are, and send it out there and shine it out to the world because we're all in desperate need of it.
Right. And
Y'all-
share these episodes. There's so much
Yeah.
good stuff here, guys.
So
All righty.
thanks again. Thank you, Joanne.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
All
Arlene.
of you.
Love you, too.